Good evening, darlings, and it is my pleasure and privilege. Oh, hang on. Greetings, honourable community. It is my fuck here now. It is my pleasure and privilege to bid you all a very warm welcome to Saturday Night Live. With me, your old pal Boaty. That's the wrong way around. That should be that way around, really, shouldn't it? There we are. Pop that just there. That pleases me. And I'm going to be with you until gone midnight. We're going to say goodbye to Saturday. We are going to wave in Sunday, the Sabbath, the Lord's Day, where we all dedicate ourselves to service of the Almighty or other things. How's your day been, darlings? I'd love to hear all about it. I'd love to know what you've been eating. Will we have any community snaps tonight? I wonder. For those who don't know, and that would be the people who aren't in the Facebook group, Boaty's World. It's a splendid place. You should all be there. My lunch today was, Christ, I can't remember. Oh, it's Saturday, isn't it? I had my Saturday brunch, my F1 Saturday brunch, because of course, Formula One returned to our wirelesses today, didn't it, darlings? It certainly did. And we've got a Grand Prix to look forward to tomorrow. I'm certainly looking forward to it. I'm also looking forward to my Sunday lunch. And I would love to know what you've got planned for the rest of the bank holiday weekend. That includes tomorrow, which for those of you who don't know is Sunday. Oh, yes. And it also includes Monday, where hopefully none of you lot will be at work if you live in the UK and if you have a considerate employer, because it's going to be a bank holiday, the last summer bank holiday, I think. So what have you got planned? What are you going to do how are you going to carpe the diem, right? There's a couple of DMs coming up, darling. There's tomorrow and there's Monday. And I want to know how you're going to carpe those DMs. Yeah. And you can caveat the emptor on Tuesday. That's more of a business-related thing, isn't it? And yeah, so tell me how you do. Tell me how you are feeling. How's your life? How is life going? Is there anything that you're concerned about? Is there anything that you're joyful about? Is there anything that you're particularly grateful for? Or is there anything that you are eagerly anticipating? I'd love to know. And what I'm going to do now, darlings, and I won't lie to you, I'm going to dive into your comments. I can't wait to get in amongst you. Honestly, if this were an orgy, then you would all be down in the pleasure bit, all naked and oiled up, and I would be slightly late to the party, but eagerly anticipating the shenanigans ahead. And I'd be tearing off my clothes, oiling up my body, which resembles that of a Greek god combined with a racing ferret, and I would literally dive right into the middle of you. Oh, what a lovely thought. My goodness gracious me. First cab off the rank tonight is Jimmy Mighty Quinn, quickly followed by Peter P, who offers his traditional and highly respectful honourable greetings to Uncle Bunghole and the Bog. Steve Culg is with us. Stratospherian is with us. This is nothing less than a joy. Matron is here. And Matron has got a little speech, and here it comes. Shall I do it in her? No, I can't do it in Matron's voice. Good evening, all, Matron begins, and that's a nice, inclusive opening, I would say. And that's a capital I hope the people who were in my live stream, Matron, it's all me. Yeah. I hope the people who are in my live stream have been suitably and seriously fluffed and are ready for a main course of boating now. Ah, well, you see, I misjudged kind and lovely matron. It's not all about her at all. Look, she was making it all about me. And how lovely. Yeah, I forgot that matron was live streaming. I've not had chance to look at anything tonight, but I'm sure it was fabulous, and I hope you all enjoyed it. I don't know why I did that then. It's just one of those silly little things that I felt like doing, and I did it. Feature number 1. Is there anything that you felt like doing and just jolly well done, with nary a glance to the consequences? I'd love to know about that. Now, the more eagle-eyed amongst you may note that I have not quaffed from my glass of lovely wine as yet. And normally, darlings, I'm keen as mustard to get out there, to get at the wine and to have my inaugural winegasm of the evening. But not going to happen tonight, and I'll tell you why, darlings. Oh, yes, I'll tell you why. I've already had a glass of wine. I had a glass of wine at the restaurant because my lovely friends were in the restaurant tonight, having just returned from the best part of a month in the Philippines. And they very kindly order their wine strictly according to my recommendation. Now, they usually have Chablis, but Chablis has disappeared off our wine list, darlings, because, well, to be honest with you, it was a bit pricey. Chablis is a bit pricey, and we didn't shift much of it. So I've had a bit of a change on the old wine list, and the Chablis has gone, and it has been replaced with, well, guess what? Guess what it's been replaced with? It's been replaced with my current alcoholic beverage of choice, Rioja Blanco. So the Chablis is gone, the Rioja Blanco is in. I drink the stuff every night. Makes sense to put it on the wine list, doesn't it? Although I didn't actually realize that the change had taken place, because, well, I just didn't realize. No, yeah. I made it happen. Nobody told me it actually had happened, but there we are. There we are. There we are. So I only had one bottle of Chablis left in stock, which my friends duly quaffed this evening. But then there was no more. So they asked me for my recommendation, and I said Pinot Grigio. Our Pinot Grigio is superb, the best that I've ever tasted, and it genuinely is. It's smooth and silken. It's got the most wonderful bouquet. It caresses the palate like I would caress Alanis Morissette. And I said, oh, we've got this Rioja, but I'll level with you. I haven't had the chance to try it yet. So they decided that they would be jolly brave and just try the Rioja, and they weren't disappointed. But they very kindly included me. So we all raised a glass of it together, which was very nice. It was lovely to see them again, and very nice to raise a glass with them. So I'm not champing at the bit to dive into the wine because I had my initial wine hit when I was still at the restaurant. Very unusually for me. I tend not to drink at work unless it's a very special circumstance or circumstance. You can choose the word depending on your own individual choice and pleasure. And now I'm going to try this Rioja and compare it to the new one on our wine list. Interesting. This one is softer and it's more polished, and it feels as if it's got maybe an extra year of age. But the one on our wine list that I tried tonight, it has a vibrancy about it. It has a freshness, almost a really charming naivete. It kind of gives your palate, or specifically the back of your palate, a firm handshake, but then that develops into a warm and loving hug. So there you are. If you're a fan of a dry white wine and you come to my restaurant, darlings, and you're disappointed that the Chablis is no longer an option, I can give you two excellent options, and they're about 15 quid a bottle cheaper as well. So that's got to be a good thing, hasn't it? You've got your choice of a very polished Pinot or a cheeky Rioja Blanco. And I don't think you'd be disappointed whichever one you chose. And both of them pair very well with some lovely Nepalese dishes. You really should all come to the restaurant, you know. Try some of our food. It's absolutely lovely. Have a glass or a bottle of wine. Sit down with me and put the world to rights. Have some momo. Try some sekwa. Try some choila. Oh, gosh. Now then, where did I get to? Oh, we'd said hello to Matron, hadn't we? Oh, getting a bit of a gasm there. Andrew is here, the lovely Andrew Boaty, Irish Boaty, of course. A very good evening, Uncle Bunghole and Boggs, and a very good evening to you, my dear chap. Always a pleasure to have you with us. Peter P, I think I already said hello to Peter P, didn't I? I welcomed him. I did. Lord Stiff Upper Lip is here. Hello, Boaty. Hello to you. Andrew is all fluffed up and ready to go. He's informing Matron. Food news. Matron had homemade beef keema saag with basmati rice. Homemade beef keema saag. So that's presumed right. So beef keema is just beef mince, and saag is, of course, spinach. So minced beef with spinach and basmati rice. Excellent. Jimmy Quinn had large haddock and scampi. Blimey, that's a double hit, isn't it? And Jimmy goes on to say, it is now wine time. He's speaking Latin again, says Andrew Buttigieg. And what's wrong with speaking a bit of Latin? Quis custodiet ipsos custodes. Timeo Deneos et dona forentes. Nothing wrong with a bit of your old Latin. And of course, all of you, even if you didn't go to a decent school, even if you went to a terrible secondary modern where you weren't taught Latin and didn't have it beaten into you by a sadistic Latin master, you will probably speak Latin without knowing that you do. Because, of course, English, as we know it, has got many Latin roots, as do the majority of European languages. I've spoken about this before. Even languages that you don't think are similar, like Welsh. Welsh is not similar to anything, and yet the word for bridge and window in Welsh are the same as French and Italian. So there you go, and it's all because of a Latin root. Now, for example, I'll give you an example, whether you like it or not. The word sinister, as we know it today, we know what sinister means, right? Yeah, bit dodgy, bit worrying, a bit potentially frightening, a bit off, something wrong with it. Well, sinister, of course, comes from sinistra, the Latin word for left. So basically, our word for sinister refers to the Latin reference for left-handed people who were deemed to be invariably wrong uns in some way, shape, or form. And that's just one example of how Latin, a historic language, creeps into the language which we all speak today, darlings. And that's utterly, utterly fascinating. And the kind of insight that you simply don't get on many YouTube live streams. Ah, yes. So you are showing your wisdom and that you are the most discerning of people by attending this very live stream, where you learn important facts like that, and you get an insight into my dreams where I tweak a nipple. I have no dreams to report. This morning was, as far as I can recollect, a dreamless sleep, but a very nice and enjoyable one. And I got up at not too early, not too late, and just did a bit of editing, actually. I've been doing a bit of editing, darlings, and I've been doing some research into where I think I should take my channel, if that doesn't sound too poncy, if and when I become remonetized. I've been doing some research into various things, and I've been learning how to use my whiz-bang editing suite to better advantage. And I've learned about almost said it wrong. I've learned about animation today, darlings. I've learned how to make certain things on my videos come alive, and I'm going to be playing about with that tomorrow. And it's a little bit complex, but it's not impossible. I watched an instructional video from the people who designed the edit suite. And they broke it down, and it's a bit fiddly. So it means that if you've got a thing, you've got to break it down into its constituent parts. So in your edit suite, you've got like a kind of timeline. And if you've got one thing on one element of your timeline, you've got to break that down into all of the constituent parts. I suppose this is how cartooning works and so on. So let's say you've got a static image, whether it's a photograph or a title or a blend of things. You have to break those down to the constituent parts. So you've got one thing on your timeline. You might need to break that down into 9 different elements on your timeline. So one would be text, one would be a shape, one would be an image, one would be whatever else you've got in that one thing. So you break it down to all of the constituent parts. And then you individually animate all of the constituent parts, and you put movement on them, or you put special fades, or you put dynamics on them. And then you play with the timings of them, so all of the elements come in at a different thing. And by the time you've done all that, and you've got your 9 different individually edited and animated things on your timeline, then when you watch it as a whole, something that was just a static suddenly comes alive and comes out of the screen at you. It looks, I'm really looking forward to experimenting with that. I've got my head around it. I have got my head around it and how to make it work. And I'm really, really looking forward to having a jolly good play with that. I love the idea of having more animation on the videos, and I think it will work very well because, and it's not standalone animation. It's animation that you can lay over your actual footage to enhance it. So yeah, that's very good. Peter P wonders whether Jimmy had curry sauce with his large haddock and scampi. And Jimmy says no, but he did have mushy peas. Neil is with us and is hoping that everybody is well, and everybody is hoping that Neil is well and recovering beautifully. Holly is here saying hello, 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 everyone. Hello to you, Holly. I feel a song coming on, says Peter P. Oh yeah, the P songs. Baby Sham, says Andrew, apropos of nothing. Oh, hello. Emma is here, disinterested car girl. Good evening to the sweetest little Boggs and the biggest boy Boaty, and a very good evening to you, my lovely one. Oh, what a thing of joy you truly are. Give the flowers a drink of wine, see if they're still alive in the morning, says Steve Colg. I'm not going to do that. They're doing jolly well, the flowers. I'm very proud of them. Hi, Cat Burp, says Peter P. Hello, Emma. Did you sort out your Tesco order? Oh, well, you've got inside knowledge that I'm not aware of. But apparently, all household orders collected and submitted. There we are. If it's free wine, Boaty will drink it, says Jimmy Quinn. Well, yeah, especially if it's my own choice. Look, if somebody offered me a glass of something average or dreadful, then I don't care how free it is, I'm not going to drink it. But if somebody says, I would like you to choose a bottle of wine and would you like a glass of it? Well, obviously, of course I'm going to. And it was just nice to see my friends again. They hadn't been in for a while, what with this, that, and the other. Probably the other, as they were in the Philippines for a month, with their good ladies, of course. And it was just nice to catch up with them. And they, or most especially Paul, are massive supporters of the channel, which is lovely. Paul has a commute. Paul works in the city, as in London, but he lives actually not a million miles away from the Disinterested Car Girl. So he has a train commute every morning, and that's when he catches up on my videos and live streams. And I'm very flattered by that. I have replaced podcast in his morning life. And I love it when he comes into the restaurant because he'll have a load of new things to, videos and things to comment on and questions to ask and all of that kind of thing. And it's lovely. I love it when my YouTube life collates with my real life, when I meet up with people in reality. And I love it even more when my restaurant life, my real life, and my YouTube life all come together in the same place at the same time. So I love it when one or more of you guys come to the restaurant and or come here to my home, or we meet up somewhere. It's all wonderful. It gives a little bit more meaning to kind of everything, and it makes me feel all warm and fuzzy inside. Now then, we've dealt with Emma's Tesco order. Boaty is like an exorcist, says Jimmy. If you let him into your house, he will get rid of all your spirits. And that works in two ways, Jimmy. I mean, as a reverend minister of the church, then presumably I am qualified to exorcise spirits from a homestead. But yeah, I'll probably have a go at your drinks cabinet as well. Although when it comes to spirits, there's only one for me. It's only vodka. I wouldn't give you a thank you for anything else. I tried a few when I was very young. I mean, when I was a kid in the Miami Vice era, when we used to wear suit jackets and roll the sleeves up. Yeah, I'm sorry, I did that. And I drove a Ferrari Testarossa. So yeah, sorry about that. It probably wasn't it wouldn't be seen as a good look now, but trust me, in the 80s or 90s, then driving a Testarossa with a suit jacket with the sleeves rolled up, it wasn't a bad look. If you went out in your Testarossa with your jacket sleeves rolled up, it wasn't a definite that you wouldn't get a bit of action that night, if you know what I mean. If you know what I'm saying, Gavna. Why am I talking about that? Oh yeah. So back in those days, I experimented with. I remember when Southern Bumthought and lemonade was a thing. Southern Comfort and lemonade was a thing. Southern Bumthought. Well, it did kind of lead to that. I remember drinking that with Samantha Duffield in Top Cat's nightclub. God, she was a lovely little thing. Oh, my goodness gracious me. I'd forgotten about her. Bless her. Yeah, Sudden Bum Thought and lemonade. So I did experiment with a few and things, and I tried a glass of whiskey. That really didn't suit me. I tried drinking brandy after my meal with my cigar. But I came to realize that the only short that I really enjoyed, apart from Samantha Duffield, who was, oh, she was small but perfectly formed, darlings. Oh, wasn't she just? Whoa, what? I should cocoa. Oh, and she was posh. The only short that I really enjoyed, vodka and tonic, and I fell in love. Actually, I started out vodka and lemonade, darlings. Um, Sasha and I used to drink vodka and lemonade, but then it became vodka and tonic. And vodka and tonic was my nightly companion for, well, for too long, quite honestly, decades. And the friendship became too intense. It's too easy to drink vodka. You can get too drunk. And considering that I'm a drinker, I don't actually enjoy getting drunk. I love to be tipsy. I love to be relaxed. I even genuinely really enjoy being disinhibited to a certain degree, but I don't like being drunk. I don't like being unable to fully control my actions. I don't like being able not to remember what I was doing. I don't like being, stumbling or falling over or slurring speech. That's too far. I hate being that drunk. Hate it. I like being tipsy, relaxed, slightly disinhibited. And that's as far as I really want to go down that route. But it has to be said that there was a length of time with Mr. Vodka and Tonic where I did used to overstep the mark, darlings, on a fairly regular basis. And when I decided that, it had been an enjoyable love affair, even if it had been slightly abusive at times, and I decided that it should come to an end, I've felt much better for it ever since. That's, don't know how long ago that is now, 6, 7 years, something like that. And probably one of the best things I've ever done. However, I do enjoy the odd night, and they are going to be coming back. There have been a couple of nights in hotels, haven't there, recently, where I revisited my affair with Mr. Vodka, but on a more sedate level, and I've really enjoyed that. And that is going to be a thing. If I have any hotel stays in the future, then it's not going to be wine here like at Windy Bum. I'm gonna have vodka and tonic, and I'm really going to enjoy it. But it's going to be it's the old wine burp. There it is. It was bound to come. Oh dear. Yeah, but it's going to be an occasional treat rather than a nightly ritual. And and I'm very comfortable with that, and I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to the winter and cheap God, I never thought I'd say that. I'm looking forward to the winter and cheap hotels and adventures in Snowdonia, and I've been planning all sorts of things. I really am serious about carrying the momentum of the summer forward. And I can't really take credit for the momentum. Most of the momentum has come from Emma. She's pushed me into doing all sorts of wonderful things and it's not like I've been unwilling, quite the opposite. But she's pushed me into doing all sorts of wonderful things, and that's the momentum that I want to keep going over the winter. I don't want this winter to be all boring and such like again. So I've got lots of ideas whizzing around the old head, and it all ties in with the YouTube monetization thing as well, because you know the old saying, you don't know what you've got till it's gone. And it's not like I earned that much money from YouTube, darlings. It was very much a side hustle, and that's all it really ever was. However, what there was always on a daily basis the potential. Something at the back of your mind would be thinking, maybe I'll have a breakthrough. And it can happen. We know it happened to our friend Sean, don't we? And that's what I miss. I miss that potential. So if and when it comes back, I plan to grab it by the balls and try some different things and see if I can have a little breakthrough of my own. So I've got lots of ideas running around the old noggin. Anyway, enough about that. Oh, Sherry is here, the lovely Sherry. I love Sherry. Just saying hello. Repeat my latest comments, but I will let you know. But I'll let you know when I'm actually gone. And that's in reference to Sherry being stuck somewhere where she's not as happy as she would like to be. Hope you're okay, Sherry, says Emma. Sounds like you're escaping a tough time, sending love if needed. I echo that. I I echo that. There's no wrong with Latin, says Andrew Buttigieg, and I agree with that. Matron says, during a dino nap. What's a dino nap? Dino? I don't know. During a dino nap this afternoon, I dreamed my lovely friend gave me a card. There was lots of words I didn't understand in it. What language is this? I asked. He replied, I haven't decided yet. And Matron then goes on to say, I guess you had to be there. And that's kind of true for a lot of dreams. I mean, I was telling you about my dream with Sasha and her nipple and her lacy bra. And I'm guessing that it's probably got more meaning and relevance to me than it has to you, because I would guess, I can't be certain, but I would guess that none of you have actually experienced Sasha and either of her nipples or any of her bras. But maybe I'm wrong in that. Maybe you have. And if you have, then like, subscribe, and leave a review and tell others how you felt about the experience. All spellings are the same to me, says Jimmy. I'm dyslexic. It's amazing what you can do on those computer editing doings. It really is. Speaking of podcasts, says Andrew, what happened to the Boaty and Mustard podcasting? Oh, it kind of just faded away, went the way of all good things. I mean, I don't know. Mustard is, Mustard's got his new love. Roger Melly, the man off the telly, and they're doing all sorts of exciting things together. I'm just as bad. I've been doing my things with Emma and whatnot, but I love the idea of a Mustard and Boaty podcast, and maybe that's something else that we'll look into over the winter. Yeah, we could discuss that on Monday when I spend the day with him on Monday. Like adding we're talking about the editing doings, like adding a Pepsi logo to the Great Cornholia. Yeah. Legendary stuff, Andrew, says Peter P. White loafers and no socks, says Andrew. Oh, yeah, the Miami Vice period. Oh, God. I remember getting stick. For rolling my jacket sleeves up. Maybe I was a little bit late to the party on that one. It didn't last long, but oh, happy memories. Sammy Duffield and Southern Bumthorpe. God. Oh, that was one of those situations that kind of happened too early to you. If it's one of those things, maybe you'll get what I'm talking about when I say this. Sometimes things happen to you when you're too young or too inexperienced or too immature to fully appreciate them and to get the best out of them. And the lovely Samantha was one of those. If I'd have encountered her like 2 or 3 years later, my God, that would have been absolute dynamite. But yeah, I was a little bit too fresh-faced and young-toothed. But hey ho, it was still all rather lovely, and it's all part of the great learning curve, isn't it? Sudden bum thought and lemonade. Oh, and cans of what was that awful lager? Schlitz. Schlitz, I think it was called, £1 a can. Dreadful stuff. Oh, Southern Comfort, says Andrew. That was my poison back in the day. Grey Goose, Boaty, asked Peter P. My absolute favourite vodka, my number one vodka, Grey Goose. It's been a lot of years since I've been able to afford it. But I've told this story before. When I was caring for my father, probably the hardest time of my life. God, I've worked hard, but I don't think any times were harder than when I was newly divorced, working at a lowly paid job, having to do 90 or 100-hour weeks to be able to pay my way. And then on my one day off, when I was utterly exhausted, driving 250 miles to spend the day slaving for my father. And we went to his off license of choice to stock him up on booze because my father was an alcoholic. And he wanted to buy me a bottle of my favorite vodka as a thank you. Do you know the thing that haunts me to this day? I can't allow myself to think about this too much because there's not much that I can't work past. There's not much that would destroy me if I allowed it to, but this would. And it's only in my mind now because it came up on a Facebook memory. My dad said to me one of the days when I was down there, and I could only get down once a week because of the work. And I would clean his place from top to bottom. I would go shopping and fill his fridge and his freezer. I would take him all fresh laundry. I'd just make sure that he was okay to survive the next week, basically. And he said to me, oh God, this will make me cry. He said to me on this one day, he said, what would I do without you, son? And I said, well, you'll never have to find out, will you? Now get off the bed so that I can change the bedding. And I genuinely thought that was the truth. But tragically, we did find out what he would do without me because, of course, after my accident, I couldn't get down there. And we know what happened then. He starved to death and was found in the fetal position on his bedroom floor. Please God, it was painless. And oh God, I can't even talk about the rest of it. The months that came after that, dear, oh dear, oh dear. But anyway, so at that time we're in the off license and he wanted to buy me a bottle of my favorite vodka to say thank you. And he had money, my dad, as well. Not that it was his own money, but he inherited his father's money. And as soon as his father passed away, he retired and lived off it. So there was sod all left for me. I inherited an overdraft. God. Still, there we are. There we are. So he wanted to buy me a bottle of this vodka, Grey Goose, and he said, and a bottle of Grey Goose for my son. And the chap said, certainly that's however much it was. And Dad said, what? How much? Have you got a half bottle? So he bought me a half bottle. The only time my dad ever did anything like that, and I've kept that I'll show it to you because I've kept it right until now. I don't mean I kept it with vodka in it. I drank the vodka, but I kept the actual bottle. There it is. That is the actual bottle of vodka my dad bought me in that off license in Headless Cross in Redditch, however many years ago it was. And I keep it. And on the very odd occasion when I have vodka, which is just in the hotel things now, then I can't afford Grey Goose. God knows if I'll ever be able to afford it again. But I pour the vodka into there and I drink it out of that bottle, and it just reminds me of that time that my dad actually appreciated me. Yeah. I wonder what happened to that boat that went down our skick. And Emma says it got very wet. Yeah. Oh, well, presumably you're talking about the super yacht. I think I heard on the news that there was now a manslaughter investigation. I've not been up on the news today or yesterday, but obviously this super yacht with some insanely rich people on it got caught in like a marine tornado and ended up 50 meters down, and very sadly, six people drowned, including, well, I mean, any death like that is tragic, but when it's an 18-year-old girl, then arguably it's even more tragic. So I'm not up to speed with it, but I know that people were questioning. There was another similar yacht quite close by that didn't have similar problems. So I think there were some questions as to how well the captain or the crew had dealt with the situations, whether there was a hatch open because it sank a lot quicker than it should have, and so on and so on and so on. But I'm 24 to 48 hours out of touch with all of the latest news on that. So haven't really got much to add to that skick. Boaty's going Russian on us. Yeah. Oh, Andrew. Oh, you are a one. Vodka, Premier Inn, Liverpudlian lady. You know the rest. I can't deny it, can I? I can't deny it. I'm never going to escape that night. Like I've said before, that's what's going to be on my bloody gravestone. Not any of the other things that I did that might be arguably more worthy of being remembered. But yeah, fell off a Liverpudlian whilst full of vodka in a £31 a night Travelodge. It was a fun night, that. I'm hoping to revisit that Travelodge if it ever gets that cheap again. Yeah, a great big thud, followed by an awkward breakfast. Oh, that was so unfortunate. The breakfast was so unfortunate. Oh dear. Oh, hello, Matron's bursting into song, and it's Chris Isaac, one of my favourite numbers. Cheap hotel on a Welsh highway. Cheap hotel, cash don't come near my way. I stream online each lonely night. Oh, I love Blue Hotel. Blue Hotel is what got me into Chris Isaac. That was the first one of his that I heard, and then I realised that after I couldn't do it now, But after I trained my voice for about 18 months, I realised I could do Wicked Game even better than he did. And then I really fell in love with Heartful of Soul. But yeah, Blue Hotel, I heard that. God, very early days with Sasha, and we had like a bedside radio thing that we used to tune into weird radio stations at all hours of the day and night. And that was where I first heard Blue Hotel. And I thought, this guy has got an amazing voice. And I wanted to hear more. So you couldn't go online in those days. So I went and bought an album. And I can genuinely remember like it was yesterday. And I can even remember where I was. I remember the first time that I nailed Wicked Game, because I'd never worked on a head voice. I didn't even know what a head voice was. By nature, now, when I was a kid, before my voice broke, I was a soprano. I was a boy soprano. And then when my voice broke, I thought my voice had disappeared. That's what happened with my father. My father was a better soprano than I was. My father soloed at the Albert Hall, which probably precipitated his later nervous breakdown. He couldn't cope with stuff like that. My father was cursed with being talented in so many ways, but not having the emotional capacity to deal with it. That's why he ended up being an alcoholic, because he couldn't cope with he couldn't cope with the life that his talents led him to. But bizarrely, and this is so cruel, and why I always felt so sorry for him, he couldn't cope. So he couldn't cope with the life that his talent led him to. He couldn't cope with his talent on a bicycle. He couldn't cope with as a kid, he couldn't cope with his talent as a soprano. He couldn't cope with his academic talent. Uh, he couldn't cope with any of it. But also, and this is the cruelest thing, he couldn't cope with the fact that he was unable to achieve his potential, right? Now, if he could have just been happy going and working in a factory or driving a taxi, which is what he ended up doing, or beating people up for a living, which is also what he kind of did when he was in the gang things, and he was the chief enforcer for the Irish mob in Birmingham when things were really bad. If he could have just been happy with that, he'd have been a happy chap, but he never was. And that's awful. And that's why he became an alcoholic, because alcohol just dulled all of the pain that he lived with. And life was a constant pain for him, the poor bastard. A lot of what I do and what I think is because of growing up with my father and desperately not wanting to be like that. And even today, I mean, my father's long gone. All of my family are long gone. God knows I'm sitting in God's waiting room, aren't I? And little things that I say, that's where they all come from. Like when I say take every bit of joy from tomorrow that you can, I say that because my father would take every little bit of pain and agony and whatnot that he could. And it's so much better if you can go the other way. My life has been rebelling against rebelling's probably the wrong word, but my life has been trying not to be my father. And generally speaking, I think that's been a positive. Some things it hasn't been, but generally speaking, it has. Where did I get to with the comments? Oh, yeah, Matron was best in its song, wasn't she? Sherry says, thank you, Emma, for your well wishes. I'm going to get through this, hopefully, definitely. Oh, packing for a short visit, my first step, harder than for a final move. Oh, Sherry, we're all with you, darling. And if you need to share with us, if you need to rant or whatever, we're all here for you. That's what this space is for. Tell us all about it. We would be honoured to be part of this stage of your journey. I hate poncy phrases like that, but sometimes they are appropriate, aren't they? Oh, Dave Hedgehog is with us. Jolly good. Good evening, Boaty. Hope you've enjoyed a few glasses of the old message retracted and then fizz. Well, it's not fizz, it's Rioja Blanco, but I am enjoying it very much. And I'm looking forward to tonight's staff curry. And a nice Sunday lunch tomorrow with the F1. I'm really looking forward to that. Oh, Mustard popped in. Hello, Pastor Fearless. Oh, dear. The podcast was your idea, says Mustard. You need to make it happen, Ducky. It was my idea. It was absolutely my idea. And Andrew says it's on my Spotify playlist, the Boaty and Mustard podcast. Yeah, I did turn all of the doings on to turn them into podcasts. Yeah, maybe we should do one on Monday. Maybe when we go to get our takeaway on Monday, maybe we should make it into another podcast. That might be fun. Yeah, I'd enjoy that. I'd be happy to edit an audio thingy tech term, says Matron, for the Mustard and Boaty podcast, so that it's not just the audio feed lifted from a video. Well, I think the thing is, Matron, that it works on the video because some of the podcast feeds that I signed into do audio visual. But there we are. Boaty just woke me up with his fucking singing, says Jimmy Quinn, and it's shit. Chin up, Jimmy, says Peter P. Skick says, went to the Indian the other night. One of the meals was sizzling lamb. Nice, but it wasn't lamb. Oh, dear. Goodness gracious me. And I've actually caught up with the comments, darling. So, given that it is now 23 minutes past midnight, I suppose that we should start saying good night and get on with going to bed type things. Like, eating, sleeping, that sort of shenanigans. I've got loads of stuff that I can be getting on with. I don't want takeaway, says Mustard. All right. Well, what do you want? I'd like a takeaway. What's your idea? Okay, what is your idea for food on Monday then? Are you going to cook? Are you going to cook in the caravan? Egg sandwich? Jesus, no. Momos, says Andrew. Well, that would be... Well, is Mustard going to make them? Are we going to get mustard momos? I'd give those a go. A block of cheese, says Matron. Yeah, well, that's the fear, isn't it? That's why I prefer the takeaway. I would like an international chippy doner kebab with chips on Monday. Or, if it's open, a David's chippy battered sausage and chips with curry sauce. But, there are two people. I'm open to negotiation. Posh restaurant, suggests Emma. Yeah, right. The two most skint men on YouTube, posh restaurant. That won't be happening. Not oodles again. Definitely not oodles again. Never again. Maybe a share pack of pork pies and some athletic beans. Jesus, no. God, no. Dear me. No, I would like a nice takeaway. It's part of Monday. I don't get to eat takeaways otherwise. But if Mustard would like to come up with an alternative, if he would like to cook for me, I mean, I've cooked for Mustard loads of times. Loads of times. He's been here to Windy Bum. I've made him steak. I've made him a steak meal. I've made him momos loads of times. I've given him staff curry. I've given him noodles. Loads of times I've cooked for Mustard. And he has never, ever, not once cooked for me. So maybe that's what he's suggesting. Maybe he would like to cook me a lovely meal in the way that I did for him. Oh, apparently not. As Mustard says, a block of cheese is great. A battered sausage is no laughing matter, says Peter P. Come on, Mustard, says Emma. Cook for Boaty. Show him what you can do. I can't see Boaty liking that, Mustard. He'd go hungry if it was just cheese. Yeah, I mean, skint means make your own food, says Mustard. Well, yeah, but who's making it, you or me? I'm always making my own food. I like a treat on a Monday. But if you would like to make food, noodles for Boaty, says Matron. You could make a video out of cooking for Boaty, says Emma. Peter P says cook for each other. I don't want to cook. I cook every bloody day. I work in a sodding restaurant. All I bloody well do is cook. I'm skint and I work in a restaurant. So at home I cook and then I go to work and I cook. I quite like going to a takeaway on a Monday. But if somebody would like to cook for me, then I'm totally open to that. Oh, excuse me. The story about your dad, says Sherry, was very touching. I'm so sorry I had to experience that situation. I'm sure and I hope he appreciated your kindness and caring. Maybe he did. And just to ask, what is Momo? Momo are a Tibetan dish which were also adopted by Bhutan and Nepal and the countries surrounding Tibet. And they all have their own versions of it. Momo are basically, as Andrew says, they are similar to dumplings. So they are keema mixed with highly spiced keema in a very simple pastry, literally flour and water, no salt, no oil, the simplest of pastries that you can imagine. And then, depending on whether they're Tibetan or Nepalese or Bhutani or whatever, then it will depend on the shape that they're wrapped in. But basically, it's keema mixed and marinated with the spices, hand wrapped, shaped in pastry. I'll show you one, shall I? Here we go, Sherry. That is a Momo. So an incredibly intricate spice mix with keema wrapped in, bizarrely, the simplest of pastries. So the filling is incredibly intricate, incredibly intricate. The pastry is the opposite. It's this, the dough, sorry. It's the simplest that you can imagine. Flour, water, no oil, no salt. And then they are traditionally steamed or sometimes boiled, but they should be steamed and served with momo chutney. There you go, which is a very spicy kind of chutney with tomatoes, sesame, 15 million herbs and spices, loads of fresh green chilies. But sometimes, and this is what Ram is going to cook for me, and I'm very excited about them because I haven't tried them yet. Jal momo. I am so keen to try jal momo. Now, that is not Tibetan, not Bhatani, that is specifically Nepalese. Jal momo are momo that are served in an incredibly intricate, highly spiced soup. And Ram is going to make that for me when I go to his house, and we are going to film it. And that'll be quite exciting. Anyway, there we are. Right, time to say goodbye, darlings. Time to say goodbye. Don't mention Momo, for fuck's sake, says Skick. Momo Meister, says Andrew. Fucking Momo, says Jimmy Quinn. Momo are good, says Emma. You know. Emma has tasted my Momo on more than one occasion, and she wasn't entirely disappointed. Let me assure you of that. When I have it for supper, goes on Emma, I can still taste it the next morning. Oh, yeah. And Momos do the backstroke in your belly. And then you fart smell of it the following day. Right, time to say goodbye, my darlings. Yeah, I'm ignoring all of the cheese. Is somebody calling me? Let me just have a look. Oh, sorry, whoever that was. It's too late at night to be taking phone calls. I'm going to bugger off. I like the silent cooking videos, ASMR. Have I mentioned ASMR before? You have, and I still don't know what it means. There are going to be loads of cooking videos coming up over the winter. I'm going to make all sorts of things that I know I can make, things that I've never made before. Honestly, I've got so many plans for videos. I had a comment today from somebody saying how much they miss the daily diaries, and I really miss them. But as of next week, they will be coming back, and they're going to be ramped up to a whole new level. Okay. All right, darlings. And on that note, I'm going to wish you all a very good night. That didn't work, did it? I've enjoyed tonight. Thank you, my lovelies, for your company. Thank you for staying up so late. And let me just wish you all a safe and peaceful night, and have the best rest of the bank holiday weekend that you can. So that's tomorrow and bank holiday Monday. I hope you find something fabulous to do, and I hope you manage to take a little bit of joy out of some, if not all of it. Take it wherever you can, basically. Do join me again tomorrow night, Sunday Night Live, earlier time, 11 o'clock. Don't forget, it's 11 o'clock tomorrow night. And so safe and peaceful night. Have the best day that you can. Hope you sleep well if you're going to sleep now. And above all, just take really good care of yourselves. And if you've got people who love you or who you love, take care of them as well. Hopefully, I will see you tomorrow night. Thank you so much for your company. Thank you for being there and being you and being wonderful. Much love from me, Pachu, and indeed, Momo with Momo Chutney. Bosh.